Friends, this is Andy over at Falco Canine Academy. I am coming to you live on a Sunday in Brea, California. So I thought I'd come on. I had just set up to do a podcast recording with a guest of mine, Cameron Thompson, but because of we're going through a little bit of technology connection issues. We did a podcast yesterday that was fantastic. Gina was on it. Cameron was on it, and it was a really good one. It's about evaluations and what to do actually before the evaluation, all the things you need to know in setting up an evaluation, how to use it as a lead magnet and a marketing tool. And then we talked about some of the tools that are available to assisting you in that in regard to, well, not necessarily only evaluations, but also just for business. We talked about that. And it was a great podcast. It may have been one of the best broadcasts that I've ever created in a podcast. But it went horribly wrong. Not horribly wrong. Just the technology failed me. We are using Skype, and I have a Skype recording app that allows me to record the Skype call. And the first part was fantastic, right? Everything was fantastic. And then suddenly in the middle of it, it just went. And so we were going to do another one today, but we figured we may have the same issues. So we've decided to postpone it until next week. So since I'm in the studio, since I had everything all set up, I had the mics on, everything ready to go, why not come on and do a Facebook Live and tell you about a canine competition that we'll be setting up here at Falco Canine Academy. And I'm putting it all out there into the hemisphere for everyone to be aware of and to make sure and ask me about. That way we can stay on target and actually get it done. We have threatened to do a competition type of scenario for the last, I think for the last 15 years. Now, I've been a judge on several competitions. And every time I thought, well, I'm going to set up a competition, then somebody else's competition would come up. I'd be the judge for that competition. And then I didn't want to compete with some other competition. But now, you know what? I'm going to pick a date. We're going to do it. It's going to be for, right now, I'm thinking it's only going to be for pet dog owners. And we're going to have different levels. We'll probably have something in the areas of basic, intermediate, and advanced competition. I am having some thoughts of doing detection, but again, you know, when you start adding different components, it just adds to the work, adds to the things that need to be done and locations that need to be found to be able to do something like that. So just know that detection is it's in the notes, right? But I know for sure it's going to be an obedience competition. And don't worry, it's not going to be that difficult for your basics and intermediates, but the advanced is going to be very, very difficult. So right now I'm thinking somewhere around March or April of 2018. That will give you time to prepare and get your dog ready. We're going to be putting out some training videos and some things like that you'll definitely want to watch for. But I talked to Gina about it, and she seemed to be excited about it. I hope she is. And it doesn't matter whether you've trained with Falco Canine Academy or not. It can be no matter where you are in the United States. You come down to the competition. What I'm planning on doing, these are just some things that are kind of flying through my head right now, is that the fee that will be charged for entering the competition, a part of that will be part of the purse for winning each one of those levels. That's one of my first thoughts. I'm sure that we will get donations from different companies, and so there will be prizes given away. Just like we did at other competitions. You know, some of my favorite times as a police canine handler was attending competitions. I was in the Olympics. I was in the police and fire games with my dog. I was in Tucson, Arizona competition. I traveled throughout the United States and competed in competitions. And I cannot tell you how fantastic it is to have something in the future to prepare for. And that thing that just motivates you to get out and do something with your dog and do more. And so that aspect. Then the other thing is that when you're meeting in a location with a bunch of like-minded people, you learn things, you make friends, you learn about other things that are happening in the dog world, and it's a great time to get together with, again, other like-minded people that are interested in doing as much as possible with their dogs, challenging themselves and challenging their dogs to do things that just most people cannot do with their dogs. Most people cannot get their dog to sit and stay, right? Most people can't get their dog to heel around distractions. So let me kind of tell you, and I can see there's people watching. I appreciate the thumbs up and that kind of stuff. Feel free to add your 2 cents or say suggest maybe things that you want to find in a competition. But of course, like I just mentioned, a sit stay and then a down stay will be obviously a huge part of it. We'll do those probably in the basic with minimal distractions, if not no distractions. As we get into the intermediate, the distractions will be increased. And in advanced, you can imagine that that's going to be a pretty difficult thing for anybody that's in the advanced, as far as their dog sitting or downing in a stay while tennis balls are being tossed around, frisbees, and that kind of thing. Little, stuffed animal squirrels, not real squirrels, little stuffed animal squirrels being pulled across the field. And the things that I've seen as far as a judge in competitions is going to be not only repeated in the competition here, but I'm gonna kind of put some heads together and see how we can make it just a little bit more fun and exciting and that kind of stuff. Safety is going to be obviously one of the most important things that we are going to always take care of. That's really, really important. The location right now will probably simply in Orange County. Here and probably on Falco Field. Of course, we're going to have to make sure the logistics and everything work out for that particular location. There's things that we have to concern ourselves with, and things that you don't need to worry about. But that's probably where we'll host it. Let's see, what else is there? There is going to be some level of agility. We want to make sure that dogs can jump over even the little tiniest jumps and that kind of stuff. Again, safety being important. We want to add, all the typical things: heel, stay, down on command, down in motion, hand signals, sit your dog from a down your dog from a sit, stand your dog. One thing I do like, there's a targeting type of thing that you've probably seen in other competitions. We'll paint out like a little square or a circle. Your dog will be on one end of the circle or square, and you'll be on the other circle. And the whole idea is to call your dog and get your dog down in that square or circle. And we'll probably have rings, probably 5 or 6 rings. And when your dog falls within the ring and closest to the bullseye has higher points. So those are some of the things that are going through my mind. I want to try to do a couple things that are just completely unexpected in this competition, and it'll be very, very exciting. So begin looking for all the announcements and the videos for preparing and that kind of stuff that would be for that. What else can I think of? Maybe some water stuff, maybe some hoses spraying water, or we're gonna pull out all the stops and make it pretty exciting for everybody and their dog. There may need to be a little bit of a breakdown between the types of dogs, but I'm not sure. I don't necessarily think it's necessary to segregate between small dogs and big dogs. I think it's so cool when a little tiny dog like a Chihuahua or a Pomeranian outperforms a German Shepherd or a standard poodle. I like them being in the same heat or the same mix, and not necessarily always separating between small, medium, and large dog. So we're gonna have to kind of think on that. Sorry, I'm a little fidgety, but I'm trying to get comfortable on the seat. I'm trying to I've not worn the shirt before. It's been hanging in my closet probably for about 2 years, and it's been sitting there. And I'm actually rather liking the shirt on the podcast. I don't know if anybody else thinks so. You can give me some thumbs up or thumbs down. You can't get thumbs down. You can make an angry face if you don't like my shirt. That's cool. So yeah, I still get any reactions. I don't have anybody else. You got any thoughts on what it is that you would like to see in the competition, or things that that I mentioned, whether you like them or not? That would be awesome if you can let me know whether you like them or not. Your guys are really going to like Cameron Thompson, who I just recently met. I got introduced to by Gina. We had, that podcast we did yesterday that nobody's ever going to hear, was fantastic. It was a great opportunity for us actually kind of on the air to learn about each other and to hear what she does in regard to preparing for evaluations and that kind of stuff. So you're really going to like her and some of her philosophy and that kind of stuff. She's out of San Diego. Her company is called Home to Canine Dog Training. Home, the number 2, K, letter K, number 9, dog training, and that's in San Diego. So you can go ahead and start looking her up and finding out what she's doing. They have a Facebook page also, and they also have a oh my gosh, I want to make sure and get it right. They have a rescue called, I think it's Hope to Canine. Hope to Canine Rescue. That it's a nonprofit called Hope to Canine, nonprofit organization. And Of course, it's in San Diego also. I was looking to see if there's any other information you need to know. I believe it's an all breed. I probably should know that. I'm pretty sure it's an all breed rescue, rehab, and rehome is their tagline there. Yeah, in the picture, they have all types of dogs, boxers. It looks like a Chihuahua in that picture. It looks like a pit bull. But a couple boxers are in that picture. It looks like a Jack Russell Terrier or a Parsons Terrier, if you want to call it that. Or a German Shepherd could also be called an Alsatian. I don't know if how many people know that German Shepherds are known as Alsatians in the UK. But so you're going to want to get to know her because she's going to be on our podcast. And let me just put out a little pitch for our podcast. The podcast is it's called Train the Dog Trainer Show. It's a podcast mostly made for trainers, but I think where we're getting into now, we're getting away from just mostly the business part of things. Now we're getting into dog behavior and things. If you are in the dog training niche whatsoever, I think listening to the podcast will be helpful to you on one level or another. So I'm going to put the link for our podcast in here, podcast, and this is the link for iHeartRadio. Yes, we are on our iHeartRadio. Let's see what my sons want from me. Yes. Okay, great. I'll talk to you when I'm done with my Facebook Live. All right. We have a little thing going. Hey, shut the door, please. So we have a little thing going on. You know, kids, right? I have kids that are all the way from 4 to 23, and I have 5 of them. And so you can imagine what kind of happens with food and packages and empty bottles. They don't always find their way into the trash can. Well, I've been on a tirade about stuff being left on the couch or on the ground. It really disturbs me. There's nothing worse for me to go into somebody's house with, and I'm sorry if this is your house, but that has kids and just like you have to step over their toys to get through the front door or step over stuff to get to the restroom, and you see stuff piled up on the counters and that kind of stuff. Drives me crazy. And so I never want to have that house here. And again, I understand how people get busy and that happens, but for me, it drives me crazy. So when I see something on the ground that could have very easily been picked up, I'm not happy. And so nobody wanted to admit to this Sunny D empty bottle laying on the ground sideways. And so that's what they came in to tell me. They raised their hand because I think they finally decided somebody has to take the blame or else we're not going to get out of our room, because that's where they're at right now. They're in the room waiting for permission to leave. And the only way they can get out is by somebody taking credit for throwing the trash on the ground. So if you were ever wondering if I am the same way as I am with dog training, where it's kind of disciplined and very important that we have rules and structure, that's an example. That's the only reason I kind of brought it up, is because I want you to know that it is the same as far as I'm concerned with both. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic on my chest there. With dogs and children, again, I'm not a complete tyrant, but very important to keep those rules. Mr. Mom, yeah, thank you, Gina. Hey, Gina, and I don't know if you heard, but the podcast we did yesterday was completely not usable. So sorry. Gina came over, and I kind of drug her in anyway. She came over to just drop off some paperwork, and so Gina came in and became part of the podcast, whether she wanted to or not. I made her comment here and there. But when it crashed and we went back up again, that second half when we went back up is completely unusable. You can only hear me. Nobody else is audible on that podcast. So, Gina. So anyway, Gina, I was telling everybody about the competition that we talked about the other day, that I'm really, again, I have paperwork of, I put together a complete competition. And so far, I've only been able to find part of what it is that I had designed as far as the competition. I got diagrams of where all the obstacles are going to be. I have where the judges are going to be. I have it all out, written out. And right now, I've only been able to find, because of course I've used several different journaling processes, and I've only been able to find one of the journals, and that one only has the layout of the agility. But I know I can find the rest of it. If not, why not? We're going to start from scratch and just take it from there. But again, throughout the years, I've had this idea of doing a competition. It just never really happened. I've judged so many that it just there never seemed that there was time to do my own. Yeah, I know. I'm sad too, because that was such a good one. But we learned about each other, right? We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about the processes. You had some great tips on the type of tools you use in regard to scheduling that you really liked, and some other stuff. It's a little sad. However, we're going to do it again. It just makes it possible for us to have another opportunity to talk about evaluations. Yeah. Oh, good, Gina. I didn't want to assume that you were all in for the competition. It sounded like it when I told you about it or mentioned it to you, but I really want this to happen. I really want to at least get this first one out and then see if it could be an annual thing. For years, I judged, I was a part of, as a handler, Redondo Beach's police canine competition for years. Then I later became the judge once my dog retired and became a trainer. And I did it for years, probably 10, 15 years. I kind of miss that. For the California Narcotics Canine Association, I was the judge for that competition for 5 to 6 years. The United States Police Canine Association in Texas. And so I miss that part of what I was doing in the past, and being the judge and watching these dogs. Some people would prepare, police canine handlers would prepare like crazy, and they'd be ready and everything would go well. But I can tell you, I think a majority did nothing prior to the competition. And you would go, did you not read, you sent out a pamphlet that has all the different things that you're going to be asked to do in the competition. I kind of like competitions where they don't know everything, that some of the stuff is sprung on them on that day. That's the other thing I'm planning on doing. There's going to be 1 or 2 exercises that are mystery exercises. They have no idea what it is that we are going to have them do. And we're going to tell you on that day what it is that is going to be asked of you, and spring it on you. So there's going to be a couple mystery scenarios, but in the police canine one, they always knew. There was no secrets. They always knew what was going to be involved in the competition, and you would be maybe shocked, maybe not. You would be shocked, I think most people, how so many handlers and dogs were not prepared for the competition, and they couldn't even score a point on a couple of the exercises. So. But it's fun. And again, the camaraderie of being around other people, like-minded people in that surroundings, and being able just to share and talk while you're waiting for your turn to go, I think is valuable. And you learn so many things. You learn, I never thought about doing that with my dog, or I never thought about that training technique, or I noticed your dog is doing really well. What it is that you're using to be able to do that. Now, of course, some people, I'm not sharing my secrets. Hogwash. Share your secrets. Have fun. Let people know what you're doing. Don't be such a stick in the mud. All right. Make sure that you can do that. So anyway, that's what I wanted to come on and tell you about, is a little bit about that competition. Remind you about the podcast. You definitely want to subscribe to it. Go to iHeartRadio and subscribe. You can go to Spreaker. You can go to iTunes. That podcast is on all of those platforms. I think I'm on 5 or 6 different platforms. I just forget what the other ones are. Of course, you can find it on Facebook too. If you go to the Train the Dog Trainer Facebook page, the podcasts are on there too. And that's, I think, where Gina says that she listens to them, is on our Facebook page called Train the Dog Trainer. And I think that's it. Anything else? All those of you that are watching, I know my English is horrible. I know it's not as bad as Bill Handel, who was here on KFI, and he just got inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. His English is horrible, and I know mine is better than his. So if he can get inducted into the Hall of Fame as a radio host, then I think I'm going to be doing okay. All right, Gina, thank you for joining me. Again, sorry to break the news to you that podcast, yeah, it's so strange. It was going so well. It sounded great. Our volumes were fairly close to being equal, which is really hard to do. And I wasn't going to have to do any editing. And then it crashed on somebody's end. I'm not sure whose end. And then that second part that we continued on, only person you can hear is me. You can't hear anybody else. I mean, you can hear a whisper of the other people. But yeah, it's not going well. All right. Since there's no more comments other than Gina saying that she's game and I am game too, so we are going to get this together. It's going to take a little bit of work, but we have Aldo here, we have Derek, we have Gina and myself, and we're going to do what we can to put it together. I would love to see people from other disciplines, other training facilities to come and show their stuff. It won't matter. It's whether the dog does it or not, right? So it's really easy in competitions for politics to be involved, to people get the belief system that, you're going to kick a little extra points from first person. Just know that I'm harder on my own people than anybody else. And so that's what the Anaheim guys, when I was a judge and the Anaheim guys were coming and competing, they hated it when I was the judge on a particular thing, because they knew that I was going to be harder on them than anybody else, that if their dogs didn't do nearly perfectly, I was going to score them very poorly. So just know that it doesn't work the other way around. I don't have my people shine unless they deserve it and unless they actually did what it is they're supposed to do. So don't feel that you're, not to come because, well, it's his competition, so they're going to do well. No, that's not how it works. Everyone who is certified under one of my certification processes know that that's not true. I had a guy throw down his leash who paid, to be certified by me, threw down his leash and cussed me out, and then took his dog and left. And left his leash behind, got in his truck and drove away. He later called me later and apologized for being such a child. But I'm not going to pass you just because you paid me, or you have one of my dogs, or you went through our training process. You have to do what it is you have been asked to do. And minus that, there's nothing more for us to discuss. Hey, Paul Byer, just saw you give us a thumbs up. Very glad to see you. Doug Bradley, when are we in this? When and where? When and where? So sorry, I can't read. Doug, you know what? I'm thinking right now it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of March or April of next year of 2018. It could be later, but it just depends on how quickly we can get something together. All right. And so I would encourage anybody, no matter how long ago it's went through our competition, it's just going to be fun, right? Don't take it so seriously. I think the people that are in the advanced, of course, you're going to take it a little bit more seriously, because when you say you're advanced, you're going to want to make sure that your dog performs like he's in advanced. So those people will tend to take that a little bit more seriously. But for sure, the basic, intermediate, let's just have fun. Right? Did your dog do it or not do it? You'll get something for competing, but you won't, obviously, we're going to grade on, first, second, and third place, right? But it's a great place to just come out and just, again, you're going to spend more time with your dog preparing, hopefully. And that's where I think the competition is at its best, right? It gives you something to work for, which gets you out with your dog the months leading up to the competition. And so I think that's what I want you to get out of it, more than winning. Right? Winning is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with winning, but better than that is that you're going to get out with your dog. You're going to do stuff. You're going to challenge yourselves. You're going to get your dog to stay longer than you've expected him to up to this point. You're going to get him to go down a little bit more crisply, get him into that sit position, bring in hand signals and all this other kind of stuff. And I think it's just really, really a good thing to do. All right. So again, March seems really soon, but April-ish, somewhere around there, is when I'm thinking that it's going to probably be closer to. And again, May is also a possibility also. And so those things are all possible. Thank you for asking, Doug. But yes, it'll be right around there. We don't have an exact date yet, but just look forward around then. And any other comments coming in? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything before I sign off. Inevitably, when I begin to sign off, then a question comes through and I go, oh, I could have answered that. All right. So don't forget, even if you're not going to listen to the podcast, it'd be great if you'd subscribe to my podcast. That way it looks like it's really busy and people are listening. I really want you to listen because I want to know what it is you want to hear on the podcast as we get more into dog training stuff and away from just simply running a business of dog training. I think it'll be more interesting for anybody that has a dog, hearing how we suggest you should go about it. And then right now we're having a guest on, Cameron Thompson. Like I said, she's going to be a regular guest, I hope, because I love how she trains and how she thinks. And she'll be on there. Gina has also made an appearance. So I think it's a good place for anybody to visit if you have a dog, regardless whether you're thinking about doing this for training as a business or not. All right. So that's it. I don't see any other questions coming in. I do see a lot of people watching, so I'm really happy for that. And so have a great Sunday. My kids and I, we're going to go see Coco a little bit later on. Maybe I'll give you a little review of Coco. I think there's a dog in there, so it'll fit perfectly in the Falco Canine. There's a dog in the movie, so I'll give you a rundown on how well trained that cartoon dog is. All right, that is it. Paul and Gina and Doug, and I'm trying to see who else is on. I can see a couple of the people. Every time I do that, it reminds me of Hobo Kelly. Only those of you that are probably somewhere around your 50s or 60s probably know what Hobo Kelly was, but she'd look through a mirror and she'd say hi to all of her friends. It was kind of a precursor to Facebook Live, I think. Have a great day, Paul. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, guys, I will talk to you later, and have a great day with your dog. Get your dog out. Go get a leash, get your dog, and go take him for a walk. All right, talk to you later. Bye.